one moment to start everything. Are you ready to begin, Chair?
Okay. Call the meeting to order at 6:33. And we have the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call?
Yes, Commissioner Debbie Chavaria,
Present.
Commissioner Barry Christian,
Here.
Chair Nance Matson,
Here.
Vice Chair Tara McClinton Horner.
Here.
And Commissioner Sean Hughes is running a few minutes late.
Thank you. So the first item is the presentation on the bicycle-friendly community designation. Are you kicking it off? Kara's kicking
Thank
it off?
you,
Yes.
Chair. We have Kara Werner with the Napa County Bicycle Coalition to give us a presentation this evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. This will be a brief update about the Bicycle Friendly Communities application process. We did submit the application, and that has been acknowledged by the League of American Bicyclists, who bestows the awards. And they have sent us the survey that we knew was coming to be distributed this summer. Is the... Oh, I do it up here. Okay, I can do that. Okay, let's see. You're seeing the whole thing. I think we can go to slideshow. All right, hopefully this won't advance without me. Okay, so we're still on our same timeline. One thing I will just add to this timeline a little more specifically is that the survey closes October 4th. So if you haven't sent it out, you really have essentially a full 2 months to get it out there. And then the designations or just the response, because not everybody who applies receives a designation, comes in December. So we should know in 2025. The survey looks something like this when you open it on your screen. It'll take about 10 to 15 minutes. For that reason, we had thought about perhaps going to Meet Me on the Streets or some other types of events and doing the survey, but with 10 to 15 minutes, it's a little too long to do in person, in paper, or even with a screen. So I think that the primary and best way to distribute this is really online, all of the online avenues that you have. I did take the survey. It's kind of fun. You get to see who else applied and other things. You get to learn a little bit. But it's not too tough. It was 10 minutes easy. There is a whole promotional kit. So I believe this is being distributed to you, either in this packet or, and it has really everything you need. It's cut and paste. It's easy. It's got the digital asset. You can slap that right into your Instagram or your Facebook or whatever you use. There's a link, cut and paste. There's even copy that you can cut and paste. There's examples of more creative types of things that other communities have done to get the word out. So I think in a community, at least when we have tried to gather input, I think in a community, especially the size of American Canyon, it makes a real difference if you as residents are putting it out there on your channels. We know that people respond to us much better when we directly ask them. When we want to get information from folks or even to show up at a meeting, we can do a wide call, but it's really when we turn around and say, little personalized note, can you take this? It'll really help us out. We put a lot of time and effort into this. You ride bikes. You're the best person to do it. You can throw some flattery in there. We love your knowledge and your experience. Please respond to our survey. Let's see. And that's really it. So this goes until October 4th. And I don't know if there is a little bit of conversation allowed, but I'd love to know if the city has had a chance to push it out or what its sort of plans are, and also if the commissioners have ideas, and just have a little chat about that, if that's okay.
Totally. Yeah, and
Okay.
I can provide an update with the city side really quick. So we took the email that Kara sent over to us, and that was emailed to every commissioner on July 31st. From the city's perspective, we are pushing it out on our social media channels and our city manager's update. Which is through GovDelivery. If you wanted to go onto our Facebook page right now and just share that post, that's probably the best way to spread that word. It keeps the messaging consistent, and it's all there. All you have to do is hit that little share button and then post it to your page, say a little cute message if you want to.
That's great.
We do try to share with all of our partners as well and tag them and all of that. So if there's somebody that you see that's not included, please include them. But that's really the best way to get the word out.
Great. And just FYI, we will put it, both American Canyon and Napa also applied. So we'll be pushing both surveys in our August newsletter. And we've also pushed it also in, I think it's called the American Canyon Happenings group, or it's a Facebook group. So we put it once in there, but it doesn't hurt to put it more than once. So. Okay, any
Great.
questions?
I was going to ask, are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a few. Have you put it on Nextdoor?
I have not yet.
Does the city put it on Nextdoor?
I will double check that. Thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah, that's a good local source. And how much of the end result is based on the community survey compared to the data that you're providing about how many miles we have, or what other type of data we gather and
Yeah.
submit?
That's a good question. They don't reveal that. I think that the survey adds dimension and flavor. My sense is that they have a scoring system and technique for the main application. There are some things that would be really easy to score in the survey, the non-open-ended questions. I'm sure they assign something to that and add to it. But I think that they're just really trying to understand what folks who aren't working in this every day, right? Most of the time it's cities who are doing this, and they're intimately familiar with bike infrastructure and whatnot, and they're just trying to get a perspective of, the average person who rides and what it's like for them. So I think it's just an additional piece of data.
And what kinds of comments might be helpful? Because I can imagine if I go down the rabbit hole of the bridge over the Paoli Loop Trail, it's just going to be, I'll be venting or something, and then they're going to go, oh, that's a problem, stay away from, or, what helps and what doesn't help?
Yeah, I think that's a good question too, but I really think, honestly, anything helps. I think that they're trying to get a true and accurate picture. So I think just being fair, right? I mean, representing your experience as honestly as you can. I know as commissioners, that's going to be exactly what you would do. I go on to social media sometimes and I see people who are just there to vent about things that, that's probably, but as long as it's true and fair to your experience, I think that's exactly what they want to hear.
And in terms of city council, would it be helpful to have like public comment to get city council to just mention this? Or, because a lot of people watch the city council meetings. I know Fran Lemos does, but and Beth, but they're here all the time. But people that might be watching at home, I don't know how many there are, but it might be helpful if city council puts in a plug for it, I guess.
Yeah, so part of what I do at the council level is I will bring community updates at the end as management oral reports, and so I can add that into my oral report. I will not be at the next council meeting, which is on the 19th. That's a closed session meeting, but we will have one in September, and I can definitely plug it then too. But we do have a pretty good reach with our city manager's update. We have 65% open rate, and that's really, that's a great avenue. It's on our social media pages. Again, social media, we're in the world of social media, and I think another great avenue is just to share. Take that post and share it to your pages and share it to any group that you feel that can help spread that word.
And I probably know the answer to this, but have we included data about the NVTA's recently launched plan for the Highway 29 corridor study?
I think so. I think that there is, yeah, because they asked about existing facilities and planned facilities, so we've talked about that. This survey, to kind of loop this question in with your last one, it doesn't lend itself to hyper detailed information. So it's a lot of check boxes, and then there's a couple of open-ended, and it's really like, what's the one thing, or what's the one or two things that would make your experience better? So,
I didn't mean the survey, but I meant the application in general, because it seems to me it was only kind of recently that MBTA came out and said, okay, we're really doing a public outreach for the Highway 29 corridor study. And I don't know if you started the application before that, but now that that's in the mix, it seems, because that part of that study would be sidewalks or class 1 trails on both sides of Highway 20, where we have nothing now.
Yeah.
So to me, that feels a bit like a game changer in terms of being bicycle friendly. So I just wanted to double check, make sure that gets in there somehow.
yeah, the application was really focused on current state. So, and I think that's because a lot of jurisdictions, whether it's the 29 plan or the countywide or citywide bike plans, do a lot of planning, but do they implement, right? And so for us, like for the Bike Coalition, we've been aware of those coming changes on 29 for a very long time. And who knows how long and when and if those will actually come to fruition. So while there is context given, especially stuff where it's like, hey, it's not in yet, but we're actively putting it in right now, we included some information like that. But they're less interested in what is planned and a little more interested in what is being accomplished.
Well, to that end, though, they're doing some sort of studies on it. I mean, they've announced that they're embarking on it, and so they're I'm thinking the planning, or engineering maybe. They may be doing the engineering or the EIR. So they're actually doing something right now, which is different than the 30 years that I've been here, that they haven't done a darn thing.
Sure. And I mean, we could say the same thing about, for example, IMOLA in Napa. That plan has been there for a really long time, and Caltrans just nope, sorry, we're moving it back to the end of our schedule. It's going to be another 3 years before we can get started. Oops, nope, so it's not that there's no movement, it's that there's no guarantee of full implementation, and they're really more interested in actually what is implemented.
I thought things were moving on IMOLA. I thought that was going forward.
I can't give an official update about that, but the latest I've heard is that there's been another big delay, and they were just going to repave it. They weren't even going to do the whole IMOLA plan by any means, because there's, that's a millions of dollars that still need to be secured. But
I'm going to redirect us to
Thank
the
you, yeah.
presentation and the survey. And
okay.
Tara had some questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So I was wondering if you have to be a citizen of a community to take the survey.
No, you just have to write in it, be familiar with it. They ask those questions. So they will differentiate whether you actually live here or work here, or they
Excellent.
tease that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know of some people that live in Napa and live in San Francisco, and they ride their bike to the ferry every day. So it'd be good to hopefully
Perfect.
hear. Yeah. And as far as Meet Me in the Street, you didn't feel that it's conducive to have the surveys put on there. Could we still have like advertising at the city booth for the, okay. And then I was also thinking the bulletin boards at the trailheads might be a good place to put like a flyer for the survey.
Yeah, and they provide a QR code. So if people are interested, they could just hit that and take it home and do it later. Yeah,
Thank you.
that's a great point.
Yeah, also the library bulletin board right outside the library door. Anything else? I want to say I took this survey this afternoon. It's really fast and easy, and I felt like I was contributing something. So,
Good.
thanks.
Thank you for doing that.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thanks. So now we have public comment for items not on the agenda.
Is there anyone, do you have public comment, Kara, for an item not on the agenda, separate from your presentation? Okay, just clarifying. So, and also, if you wouldn't mind closing your presentation.
I will close it.
Thank you.
I'll try. Hi again, Kara Werner with the Napa County Bicycle Coalition. I just wanted to mention to commissioners that there's some exciting work being done in the city of Napa right now that you may just want to go check out and see. There's a couple of new things that haven't been done in the county before, and one of them is parking protected bike lanes on Browns Valley First Street. So if you happen to be in the area and you want to drive through or ride through, we haven't had these types of protected bike lanes. We don't have many protected bike lanes at all in the county, so this is quite exciting. They also included a bike box, and a bike box is a green box that's right at the front of an intersection. And what it does is it allows bicyclists to come up into the box ahead of traffic at a red light so that they can all go across at the same time, so that they're more visible, and so that if they're taking a left, they don't have to try to go across 2 lanes of much higher speed traffic and cars to get into the left turn lane. They can just go up and then go straight over. And the bike box there is really important because the left goes to a bike path that goes under the underpass, and it's a big connectivity piece. So I just wanted to share that and let you know about it. And if you're up there, I encourage you to take a peek at it. Thanks.
Great, thank you.
Chair, I have a question.
A question or public comment?
Not a comment, a question about the comment. It's not a discussion, it's a question.
Is that possible?
They do that all the time at city council.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks.
I'm not exactly clear on bike protected, just that term, if you could just elucidate. what
No,
that
there's
is.
no engagement with public comment like that. So, again, public comment is a public comment. If questions and things like that, we can follow up with her after the meeting, if individually, but we don't, there isn't a two-way dialogue between the commission and the public commenter.
Okay, I've heard them do that at city council many times, just to ask a clarifying question, but I'll go by your ruling.
Yeah, I just talked to her later. She can tell you pretty briefly about it.
It does say on our agenda that we don't engage in public comment. So, I mean, if the council does it, that's at their discretion, but it's also at the discretion of the chair. So if that's something you want to allow and permit, but
No,
That
because
isn't
actually I got some information by email, and I think that probably it's going to get to all of us to clarify it, and I think Kara's very available to ask questions, so I think we should move on. Any other public comment?
Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to make comment? Please raise your hand now, if so. No additional public comment.
Great, thank you. Any agenda changes? It looks like we just have a couple business items. Are we all good?
Chair, can I make a recommendation,
Yes.
please? Can we please move business item number 4 to number 3? I think that would make better sense. I forgot to ask our clerk to make that change when we were setting the agenda. Talk about the work items first and then move into the other business item, if that works for all of you.
Okay, we need to do a motion and second on that, or just do it?
It's up to you. That's your discretion.
Do I have any dissent on that? Then I say we just do it. Thanks. So, consent calendar, minutes of May 7th, 2025. Are there any corrections? Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar and accept.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Roll call?
Give me 1 second. Okay. Commissioner Debbie Chavaria,
Yes, I consent that.
Commissioner Barry Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Sean Hughes,
Again, yes.
Vice Chair Tara McClinton Horner,
Yes.
Chair Nance Manson.
Yes. Thank you. And so our first business item is the fiscal year work plan for 2025-26. So I'll turn it over to Director Akita.
Thank you, Chair. So we're bringing this item forward because, as you recall, we met with the council on June 17th to develop our work plan for fiscal year 25-26. Each year we do that. We meet with the council and we come up with a list of items that this commission will focus on pertaining to open space, after transportation, and sustainability. That work plan was approved and adopted by council on the 17th, and we just briefly wanted to go over that and make sure that we're all on the same page and what the next year looks like. As a reminder, it is absolutely our goal to be a working commission, but if we do not complete an item, that's okay. Items can roll over to the next fiscal year. For example, continue the work on the bicycle-friendly community designation. That's been something that we've been working on from last fiscal year to now this fiscal year. Same with updating the Parks and Community Services Master Plan. So those are just two examples that sometimes a project will take a little bit longer than 12 months because we don't meet for 12 months. We meet 10 months out of the year. So we do skip 2 meetings. So I just want to make sure that's clear with everybody. So this is the list, and what we will try to do for this body is I will work with the city manager because, as you know, there are 3 staff that are tasked with this commission, which includes the city manager and Erica Amon Smithies, and even a little bit of Brent Cooper, who is our community development director. So based off of the item, that is who you will have as your staff liaison for that meeting, and we're going to try to plan it out and map it out based off of who is responsible for what. So that planning meeting should come within the next couple weeks, and I hope to have an update to you by the next meeting. But just to kind of give you a little snapshot of what we are going to be working on next meeting, which is in September, we will be reviewing the Regional Climate Action and I should not say that. We're not going to be reviewing the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan because it's not completed. You're going to get an update on what it is and what it looks like and what that is. And then tonight, we're already working on the we're already continuing our work on the bicycle-friendly community designation. We received a presentation, and then we're going to be discussing courtesy trail signage, including considering bicycle speed limits. In next week, we have MCE joining the city. They are going to be attending our city booth to engage and connect with American Canyon residents. So they will be hopefully sharing what Deep Green is and how they can become a Deep Green customer. And then for also item D under number 7, we are kind of already chipping away at increasing tree plantings. We have our outdoor education project that's currently happening at the wetlands. We're also buttoning up our details with RCD with the project that we're working on with them, which is going to be planting roughly about 30 trees down in the wetlands area right next to the outdoor education center. Other than that, Chair, that is my update. Thank you.
Thanks. Any questions?
When you say the outdoor center, are you referring to the eco center?
No, we have the outdoor education center that's at the wetlands. It's the project, the all-season gazebo that will be used.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Barry? Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. When it says engage with NVTA on the updated combined bicycle, I think we've had some presentations that's going on. And I know that I can comment as an individual, but I don't know if and when we're going to have an opportunity to look at it as a committee. There's some things, specific things I'm hoping to talk about. So how does that happen?
So we can ask somebody from MVTA to come down and give a presentation and kind of like what Kara did this evening, and you can ask questions and as part of that presentation. If there's something specific that you want an update on, you can absolutely email your chair or email me, and we can ask MVTA to be prepared to provide information on that item or that thing that you would like an update on. That's another opportunity as well.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm not sure we have to drag them down here to do that. I'm thinking just in terms of if somebody for the commission wants to make a suggestion on something that we as a commission submit that we would like to see added to the bicycle plan, and then we discuss that. And, either submit it as a commission or, otherwise we're just acting individually. And I know that it'll come before us to review it, and maybe that's the time when it comes as a draft that we make comments and say, and then we would have, I guess then we would have an opportunity to discuss it.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
another option as well.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? I have a question about number 6, the Regional Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. Is that the Napa plan, or is that bigger than the Napa plan?
Bigger than the Napa plan. That's
Okay.
that's the RCAP. So oh gosh, okay, hold on. There was a plan before the RCAP. It was the Regional Climate Action Plan. That's the Regional Climate Action Plan. That was started before the RCAP. That's kind of been put on hold. They're now focused on the RCAP, which is the Regional Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. And that's kind of where the focus is right now. And Brent Cooper our Community Development Director, has been heavily involved in that process. And so he's going to be your staff liaison in September, and he'll be coming down and doing a presentation, as well as some members of the RCAP, to bring everybody up to speed on what it is and what that means.
Okay, because I got an email today that the public draft of the Napa
I saw
RCAP
that.
is available, and that's a different document?
No, I believe it's the same document.
Okay. So on September, we're just getting a briefing on it.
A presentation, yes.
Presentation. It says, this email says public comments open through September 30th. So are we going to get a presentation on, and then we need to, as individuals, provide comments?
So the plan, I will have to follow up with Jason,
Okay.
our city manager, to see if that is going to be part of the conversation in September. I think right now that's part of the environmental reviews, are asking for public comment on that plan. So if, as an individual, they're calling for public comment, so individuals can absolutely comment on that.
And then the cities have a bit longer to comment than that?
I'm not quite
Not sure,
sure.
okay.
I'm going to have to look into that for you.
Okay, I met with, oh shoot, I'm blanking on his name. Jim Wilson, is it Jim Wilson?
Yeah.
From Climate, I'm sorry?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, from Climate Action Now, Napa Climate Action Now. I now have the name wrong, but last week. And they're very interested in getting involved and talking with us possibly at the same time. So which department head should I be talking to about how to kind of segue these things?
Just send it
Erica?
to me. Just send it to me, and
Okay.
then I can speak with Jason, our city manager, and see how to fold that in.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you. Anything else? Tara?
Could you comment on who makes up the region for this plan specifically?
I believe it's all of Napa County, but I'm going to have to double check and verify that for you.
Great. Anything else? Great, thank you for bringing this forward. Next item is the courtesy trail signage. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
a
we have public comment on this.
Thank you, I forgot to ask for
No,
public
it's all
comment.
right.
Thank you.
Catherine Bitt?
Good evening, OSAT commissioners. My name is Catherine Bitt, and I'm an incoming senior at American Canyon High School and the co-vice president of Napa Schools for Climate Action. Being under the current circumstances of our worsening climate emergency, I am asking you to remember that it is our youth who are especially vulnerable to the increasingly destructive impacts of climate breakdown. American Canyon has an obligation to do its part to prevent this from happening. This commission in particular has a responsibility to engage the whole community and acknowledge our climate emergency through immediate action. The Napa Schools for Climate Action team and former OSAT's youth commissioners, Allison Benchik and Calix Mitzlar, have consistently communicated with you and the City Council about our concerns as the youth of our city. We want to thank you for the recognition and collaboration we've received. Now, we hope to see results in the upholding of previously made commitments. Mayor Pierre Washington, Vice Mayor Mark Joseph, and City Council members have expressed their support. In the joint City Council and OSAT's meeting in June, you agreed with Vice Mayor Mark Joseph about adding back climate actions to your work plan. He gave a few examples from our own interim climate action plan. You also stated that you were eager to get moving on that. And I am requesting that you prioritize these climate actions in your new work plan because the new general plan clearly calls for immediate and sustained emergency climate action to achieve our 2030 net zero goal. It is time for our OSATS Commission to get serious about our commitment to immediate and sustained climate action. Napa Schools for Climate Action, a student-led advocacy group that promotes climate and environmental justice with participation from capable and passionate students across NBUSD, would be more than happy to provide support and expedite actions without further delay. It won't be easy, and there is such little time left. However, it is crucial that we must change our old ways of thinking and doing. Thank you so much.
Is there any other public comment in the room? Is there any comment on Zoom? No additional comment.
Great, thank you.
Chair Mattson,
Yes.
I spoke with you about talking about signage on Green Island Road. I'm just wondering now, looking back at this, the one we're on, number 10 says provide input on the design for open space agriculture and sustainability projects. So is this a time to provide input on one of those projects, or it's a safety issue? So for as far as the courtesy trail signage, I wasn't sure if I'll be allowed to get it in there because it's safety, not courtesy signage and speed limits.
So what Commissioner Christian is talking about is Green Island Road in terms of share the road signs. And I was thinking it kind of does fit in with courtesy trail signage because it's not only our trails where we need courtesy signs. So the question is it possible to include that in our discussion about courtesy trail signs?
I'm sure we can.
Okay.
If it's on, I'm not an expert for Highway 29 and what signs can and cannot be. Is it Highway 29?
No, it's Green Island Road.
Sorry, Green Island
Yeah.
Road. Thank you. I
Yeah.
apologize. That is going to, I would have to defer to our Public Works Director on that, but we absolutely can. You can raise it during that conversation, and then I can take note, and we can look into it and see what we can do.
Great, thank
Thank
you. Okay, let's move on to courtesy trail signage, and I'll let you start it off, Ally.
Thank you, Chair. So we are here as part of your fiscal year 25-26 work plan. The Commission has expressed an interest in reviewing our courtesy trail rules and signage for our city trails and explore options related to bicycle speed limits. City staff conducted a review of throughout American Canyon. This included trails managed and maintained by the city, as well as regional trails such as Lynch Canyon, Open Space, the Ridge Trail, the Vine Trail, and the Bay Trail. Some of our trails, as you all know, some of our trails do connect to broader regional trails. So that's why we wanted to make sure that we included the trails that we may not actually physically own or operate, but they do run through our city, and it's important to do our best to evaluate all the trails that are here. So our municipal code does have specific trail use regulations and guidelines, but as you can see, there aren't any specific speed limits. It really just says obey all posted sign rules, nothing very specific. However, in addition, our trails currently lacked consistent and visible signage, which limits public awareness to these regulations. And in addition, there's no posted bicycle speed limits, which may create challenges for shared use trails, especially where pedestrians, equestrians, and cyclists have to coexist safely together. The Newell Open Space Preserve will have its own specific signage with its own trail standards once the Newell Open Space Management Plan becomes adopted by City Council. For the Vine Trail, this is managed and operated by the Napa Valley Vine Trail Coalition and is envisioned to be a 47-mile Class 1 paved trail stretching from Calistoga all the way to the Vallejo Ferry. The completed segment between Vallejo and American Canyon is approximately 7.5 miles, with a total of 2.5 miles within American Canyon. The trail does mention a 15-mile-per-hour speed limit for bicyclists in its safety guidance, but this is shared as a general courtesy and recommended, but not officially posted on any trail signage. There is currently no formal wayfinding or trail etiquette signage in place within these trails. For the Bay Trail, There is a segment within American Canyon, which is partially located within the Wetlands Edge Park and extends both north and south of the park. The Bay Trail is part of a larger San Francisco Bay Trail segment. It's a regional trail system that will eventually span over 500 miles around the entire Bay Shore. A 15-mile-per-hour speed limit for bicyclists is referenced in some Bay Trail guidance materials as a suggested standard. However, there is no posted signage within the wetlands segment, and speed limits are not actively enforced by the district. I did forget to mention that this portion of the trail is managed by the Open Space District, even though it's within the city park. There are some areas on the Bay Trail, for instance, the Golden Gate Bridge and the Bay Bridge, where they do have bicycle enforcement with patrols, and they actively enforce speed limits because of the higher traffic volumes and the narrow trail widths. For Lynch Canyon, as you all know, we share our border with Solano County with Newell Open Space. And Lynch Canyon is managed by the Solano County and currently right now, there is no signs that indicate once you cross over from Solano County into Napa County, or even when you cross over from Lynch Canyon into Newell Open Space. Lynch Canyon does not post bicycle speed limits. They do, however, allow Class 1 electrical bicycles with a maximum speed limit of 20 miles per hour. While the rules are not posted at the trailhead, there is no formal signage within the trail system related to speed, courtesy, or user conduct, and no active enforcement is in place. Bay Area Ridge Trail is managed and operated by the Bay Area Ridge Trail Council and is part of a regional trail system that spans over 400 miles along the ridge line surrounding the Bay Area. The trail that runs through Newell Open Space, beginning in Solano County at Lynch Canyon, up on the ridge. There is no posted trail signs, no speed limits, or user guidelines along the segment. In addition, staff also looked at other regional trail systems just to kind of go a little bit broader outside of Napa County. We looked at East Bay Regional Park District. We did look at Alston Park, and then Skyline Park. Both Alston and Skyline Parks do not have posted bicycle speed limits, but both allow Class 1 e-bikes on their trail systems, and East Bay Regional Park District provides general trail usage and rules across their systems, but each park is managed individually based off of the amenities and what is happening within that park. So here this evening, to help with this conversation, we do have Kara Werner with the Napa County Bicycle Coalition. She will be our subject matter expert, and she will be able to help assist and guide this conversation, because again, we are exploring how we can install courtesy signage and potentially look at bicycle speed limits and what that means for the trails here in American Canyon. Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I make a few comments to start? And then, okay, great. So I thought that the staff report was extremely helpful in sort of understanding the landscape around and in American Canyon. And I just had some thoughts based on that. And one is that it might be worth having a conversation about signage and or regulations that apply to Class 1 multi-use paths, and a different set, or a somewhat different set, that apply to unpaved paths in parks. So one thing to know is that, for example, on a multi-use path that's paved like the Vine Trail, you cannot ban any class of e-bike. You can in a park. Parks can say we just want Class 1s, for example. But in the Vine Trail, you can't anywhere in California. So this is a California law. So for reasons like that, it might be useful to think of it, at least in part, to consider those separately. Another thing to consider is that a lot of the trails within parks are really purely recreational trails, and that might warrant somewhat different regulation and etiquette and encouragement than a trail that's also used for transportation. From from the report, you can tell that while speed limits are something that people have thought about, they're not typically implemented. That's not the norm. That's more, it's not that it's never been the case anywhere. It's just that that's around here, not the norm, and not the norm really anywhere, though they do exist in some places. Another thing to sort of consider, and this might just be everybody's sort of personal preference, is your own philosophy of what you think manages behavior. Some people are really on the tell people, have clear laws, enforce those laws, and some people are more on the edge of things where they're like, let's create a culture, a positive culture of cooperation and consideration. That was something, I was on the Vine Trails group that developed their most recent etiquette signage, and that was the direction that group decided to go. And sometimes people go that route. Also, I think just for practical purposes, if there's not a lot of resources to do that enforcement, even if they made those, very specific laws. And another thing is I saw that the staff report referenced the council priority of recreation. I'm guessing there's a council priority of climate, greenhouse gas reduction and climate mitigation, and that might be another lens to look at this through as well. Again, for those trails especially that are used for transportation. It's not going to apply for everything. And then a final just... There's all sorts of examples of etiquette signage. I think some of the signage that seems to work the best, in my opinion, I have no research behind this, but it's the ones that can be worded more positively. So instead of don't, it's more like do. So something like give others space. Give other park users space, as opposed to don't come within 2 feet of a park user or something. Listen for bells and anticipate travelers behind you, as opposed to don't put in your earphones or your headphones or something. Travel and keep pets to the right. So these are the kinds of things that are often in etiquette signage. And then just one other thought is that what I don't know, it's nice to know what problem are we trying to solve here? How much of a problem is it? Is it a problem now, or are we anticipating a future problem? How are things now? How might things change, et cetera? One thing I just want to, as context, say, because we're in this field a lot, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, is there's a lot of people who it's almost as if collectively we forgot that life means sometimes being annoyed by other people. And so what's an annoyance versus what's a true safety threat is something to consider. And I think for pedestrians, sometimes they get scared or taken aback that someone is traveling behind them and they're moving faster than they are. And I know that part of that has to do with the fact that they've just forgotten that other park users are there, or that the park's that way. And I myself have been guilty of this. I was walking on a Class 1 path with a group in Santa Rosa recently, and we're chatting it up and we're so in conversation, right? And this doesn't happen on the roads. This is unique to parks and Class 1 paths. People socialize while moving. And I completely forgot where I was and that there were other users, and I heard a bell and I was like, oh, I know better. I got to get to the right. But we're human and we're engaged in what we do. So I think some encouragement for folks to just keep that awareness can reduce, even when someone's not moving all that fast, someone can be startled or frightened. So I think etiquette signage that's designed to think about all of the park users is really helpful. And just one final thing is that for parks where there are equestrians, bicyclists, and hikers, that triangle of, who yields to who is really common. I think it's really helpful, and it will be reinforced in other parks because it's used so widely. So those were just some thoughts to reflect on the staff report and open the conversation.
Great. Do you want to say anything else?
I just also would like to help guide this conversation to, we want to be a little bit mindful of our regional partners. We don't want to enforce or put any rules that may not be acceptable on one trail and then try to carry it over to another trail. So my recommendation is that we try to be as we are cognizant of what's happening on the Vine Trail and the Bay Trail, because people, when they do travel, they are using multiple connectors, and it's going to be really difficult to be able to distinguish what trail you're on unless you are in the bike world and you do this every single day, because the general public will not know the difference. So that's my only guidance, is just to be cognizant of what is happening on the Vine Trail, what is happening on the Bay Trail, and then what we are trying to implement on our trails, because people are not going to know the difference when they're traveling, especially when they're trying to get to work or they're engaging with their friends or whatever the case may be. That's only my word of thought there.
Thank you. Commissioner Christian?
Hi, thanks. First of all, I don't know if this is a correction. If I'm wrong, then consider it a question. But to the best of my knowledge, neither the Ridge Trail nor the Vine Trail are managers of any properties. They don't own any properties, neither one. I was on the Ridge Trail board 13 years and Vine Trail 15 years. So they got the trails built. The Ridge Trail gets grants and gives advice, but I don't think they own a single piece of property. And the Vine Trail owns, well, no, the easements onto private land that were required for the Calistoga St. Helena section were granted to the county. The county owns those easements. So the one thing the Ridge Trail does is it's signed agreements to do maintenance. And for example, up near Calistoga, the Open Space District has a contract with the Vine Trail and the county to do the maintenance. So just like up at Newell, the Ridge Trail can't come in and say what we're going to do as a certain speed limit or this, that, or yet. They have no authority. So they're not managed. It's just like all of the Vine Trail, whatever jurisdiction it's in, that's who manages it. So if it's in the county or if it's in the city of St. Helena or city of American Canyon, it could all be different. And it'd be great, like it's suggested, that there's, similar stuff so that you do get that culture going. And in terms of the answers for these questions about people getting along, I don't know the answer. I know one thing is that if you have a complaint and it's anything serious and you call the police, if there's no rule, they can't go out there and force anybody to do anything. They can, if there's legislation or an ordinance, then they can go out and enforce it. But if there isn't anything, they can't. You're just sending them into a mess, because they'll try to convince somebody to do the right thing, but that person can say, hey, if there's no rule, then get out of my face. And as far as being inconvenienced, I have a friend a little older than me that was on the Embarcadero in San Francisco, and someone on a scooter ran into her and broke 2 ribs. So we know that these things are happening. It would be nice if we could be able to prevent them, and I don't know the answer. I know there's a trail in, I think it's Redondo Beach, and this was discussed at the Active Transportation Advisory Committee for NVTA, and someone brought in a video, and the speed limit along the beach was 8 miles per hour. It was posted, it said 8 miles an hour, and he had a video, and it was everybody you can imagine: skateboard, dog walkers, people walking backwards, people dancing, bicycles, whatever it is. So there are examples of speed limits, and I don't know if that's the best way to go, but they're there. And one of my biggest concerns is that our vulnerable communities, if they're afraid to go out on a trail, whether it's class 1 or sidewalk or whatever, then we've already lost the battle. And especially for older people, because getting outside, getting some fresh air, interacting with their community, that might be the only time of the day that they go out. But if they don't consider it safe to go on a bike trail or a walking trail, they'll just stay in, and we won't even know it, and that's what we lose. So that's my immediate comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean?
All right. Just a couple comments. One thing that you said that I liked, well, I liked everything you said, but the positive, your signage etiquette, like kind of more of a positive message. I think that would definitely work better, and it's something I would like to see more than, like you said, don't. But on the flip side, I hate the idea of putting signs everywhere. So like, what I see a lot of in like Skyline when I'm riding my mountain bike, there's a kiosk or a little pay station, and then all your signage is right there, and then the rest of the signs you see are trailhead signs, or this trail goes that way and this trail goes that way. I think it just kind of ruins the landscape when you shove a bunch of speed limit signs and and then I guess my last comment, which I think I keep hearing, without actual enforcement, you're kind of just at the whim of everybody's attitude, right? And so, again, you just try to build, I think what you said is more of a positive culture. So those are my comments.
Tara?
I agree with what Sean said, and I think that one of the most important things, I think, is keeping the trail rules consistent with our neighbors and communities and other trails that we connect to. So I think at most on paved trails, it would be a recommendation of 15 miles an hour if we were going to do something. And same thing with open space as Lynch, just the Class 1 bikes that are automatically limited at 20. Also, I like, what you said about the positive signage. And one thing, as a user myself, I've noticed that pedestrians don't necessarily know to move to the right. So I think just a sign saying that, to move to the right when you hear the bell. And also, like you were saying, I have come up to people that are, when I'm on my bike and they're walking, and I've gone down to walking pace and still like, on your left, and I still startled them. Yeah. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's a speed thing, necessarily. And I am on the trails a lot, and I haven't experienced safety issues myself. It'd be interesting to know if other users out there on the wetlands trail or open space are experiencing issues, but I haven't seen any myself. And if we are going to put money into signage, besides maybe the move to the right sign, I think we should put in some trail markers. I think that's something that we're missing that a lot of people would like to see, and especially since we do have a 5K, 10K run out at the wetlands, it'd be nice to maybe have that marked. Maybe some other mileage around town marked. Oh, and also I wanted to add, I really like the mileage that you put in the report. One of the mileages that I thought was also interesting is the Ridge Trail to the wetlands. And that was, according to Google Maps, was 2.3 miles. No, wait. Wetlands to Ridge, 6.5 miles. And I don't remember my own notes. I put O to W is 2.3 miles. Does anybody know what it's probably open space to wetlands? Oh yeah, that's the open space trailhead to the wetlands trailhead. Yeah. That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Hughes?
It's a good night. Does anybody else?
Didn't you push your
I
button
did.
again? I thought so.
I did. One thing I was going to mention in lieu of signage, you were talking about the bells. and Crockett Hills, East Bay Regional Parks, right? Has the kiosk and they just give bells away. And it's one of the coolest things because one of the best trails comes down to the parking lot and it's really fast for mountain bikes. And if people don't know that there's a lot of mountain bikers out there, they walk right up that and it's hard to stop. But when you grab a bell, a free bell, you can put it back if you want or you can keep it. You just hear them coming. So in lieu of like maybe putting signage, invest a little bit in something like the bells. And I imagine you guys probably do that with the coalition.
Is it okay if I speak again?
Yes, as long as, let me just, because we did receive that comment from a community member. And the one thing I want to remind this commission is with a amenity like that, we don't have a funding source to be able to support that ongoing activity. So we would just want to be mindful of what recommendations that we are talking about, because although it might seem like a great idea from a parks director perspective, it's a bit of a nightmare. And the reason why I say that, and I'm going to be truly candid and transparent with you, as Commissioner Hughes has said, I'm sure the intention is not for them to take the bells home, but people do. And when you don't, if you have a kiosk that is intended with bells and they're not there, we as the Parks Department will receive complaints about those bells missing and eventually we'll have to replace them. And so we would have to want to come up with a funding source. And maybe that is an opportunity where we can look for a grant with a nonprofit or something like that. So just keep that in mind when we talk about those type of things, because those bells do they have a tendency to potentially walk off and not come back. So just keep that in mind.
So don't steal them from Crockett and bring them here?
I'm not going to say this on record, but no, don't do that.
I thought you said 50 cents each.
A lot of people take them and they leave them on their bike, but yeah, I think you are supposed to put them back. So if I did this.
Okay.
Is it
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is it okay if I, just a couple of thoughts. So, Commissioner Hughes, I think your first point about I don't, necessarily want to see a bunch of signage out when I'm out in nature is another good reason to kind of consider paved and unpaved, right? So on the Vine Trail, for example, they have it more frequently, but you never know when people are coming on and off of it because they're using it as a transportation corridor as well. Where at a park, you do have sort of that trailhead spot where people are used to kind of looking at signage and then heading out. So I think that makes a lot more sense in a park setting and maybe a little more etiquette signage in a transportation paved setting. The bells, Skyline does that too, and we looked into that when we were advocating for mountain bike access in Alston Park, and we were surprised to find that they were controversial too. So some pedestrians appreciated them because they were concerned about conflicts, and others were like, I don't want my experience of nature mucked up by your bell sound, which is valid too, right? So that might just be something to consider, that's two different reactions to that. And then just one other comment to something you said, Tara. I just want to clarify that that Class 1 e-bikes only go up to 20 miles an hour with pedal assist, but they can go way faster than that. Any bike can go way faster than 20 miles an hour, whether it's electric or not. They're just not getting the assist. It cuts off at 20. So there's no it's not like the bike can't move past 20. I can move past 20 on my little 80s Miata. I don't usually, but down a hill I might. So that's just something to consider as well.
Thank you, Chair. I forgot one of the things that was important to me on this idea of signs. It's not a courtesy sign, but a few weeks ago I was at Newell Preserve and a gal came by on a bike and said, hey, can you help me? I'm lost. I'm looking for the Vine Trail. And it turns out her Google Maps was showing her that you could come into Watson Ranch and get up to Watson Lane and continue on. But you can't. It's fenced off and it's a open field. There's not even a dirt road. And Chuck McMinn told me it's too steep anyway. So we told Google and they corrected that. They just removed that Vine Trail route off. But it tells me that people are coming up. She came on the ferry from San Francisco, then rode all the way up to Newell Open Space. So she was doing great. By taking off that Vine Trail route now, both Apple Maps and Google, the primary route through American Canyon has become the Bay Trail. And it's Vine Trail, Bay Trail together from the ferry up till you get to Highway 29, whereas the Vine Trail goes up Broadway, and the Vine Trail starts up 20 and then goes into Meadows, goes along Wetlands Edge, Commerce Road up to Green Island. So that's cool, but there's a section on Green Island Road between Commerce Court and Devlin. It's 1/3 of a mile. There's no shoulder, there's no sidewalks, it's landscape, so even if you got off the street, you couldn't walk on it or ride on it. And there's a curb there and there's big trucks going by. So I talked to a local bike shop owner here, and they said, I'll ride it on the weekends, but I will not ride it during the week. So I don't consider it safe. My hope was that Google and Apple Maps would someday say, yeah, you plan your route, here's the map, click on the bicycle icon, they'll give you a bike map. I would like them to say, hey, that's a little bit sketchy in through there, but they won't engage. They wouldn't engage. They did take the one off, but so we were ahead of the game. This is back when Creighton was still here. That Class 1 on Green Island said, hey, yeah, we're going to do this. But in all this time with the delays that have happened, the Vine Trail Vallejo got its section done. Now people are coming up. It's a main route. So to me, I feel we have a responsibility to do what we can to make it safe. Hopefully, the permitting will get done. It'll get constructed later this year. But like Kara was saying about Imola, it's been years. These things have a way of dragging out. So, long story short, too late. But I'm thinking of a share the road sign. I've seen a lot of construction here, and you see these orange metal poles and a big orange sign like this that says road closed. I've seen one that said share the road. But something until we can get this thing built. And just as an interim thing, I would love for the city to put some kind of safety warnings there for that 1/3 of a mile. Maybe not for the bicycles, but for the people that choose to ride it, for their protection, that these truckers see that and say, oh, okay, these guys have a right to be here. I should be watching out for them. And I'm not saying it'll help, but if it saves one life or one injury, then it'll be worth it. So I'd like to see something put up there until we get this. It was delayed from a funding thing. It was pulled for the Vine Trail at one point, and now it's delayed from permitting. So I'd like to do what we can to make it safe. And a second similar instance is that bridge over the Paoli Loop Railroad tracks. There's nothing there. It's just the side of the road. It's Class 3 on the freeway. And T.C. Halsey, who's the Vine Trail ambassador, wrote it recently and sent me an email. He said, hey, I rode up there, and we can't put a cement barrier on it because the bridge may not be engineered for it, but we could put some pavement markers, some plastic flags, just something, because people are going to ride it. The only alternative now is to go out to the wetlands, and that might be a long way. And with the Highway 29 corridor study, we're going to get up to that bridge, but that study doesn't go further north. It doesn't, the bridge. So let's put something on there too. Let's think about it. Let's maybe get it into the countywide bike plan and either permanent signage or something, just to, if that's all we can do, then let's do that. Thank you.
Hey, anybody else? So did you have more comments?
I just had one more thought, and I can give it anytime.
I was just going to give my comments. So, I've been thinking about this a lot because sometimes we've been out at the wetlands and a bicyclist has zipped by us, and other times they've been really respectful. And so I like these kind of nice signage that's not dictatorial. I had this idea of like having some sort of sign that has pictures of the types of park users. You've got your fisher people, you have your bicycle riders, you have your horseback riders, whatever, and people with their dogs. And I also liked the travel and keep pets to the right. I think in general, people are doing that, but I don't know. So, and using the triangular sign, I mean, pretty much everybody knows what that is. It's really clear. And maybe that sign with "give way" in the middle, just those words. I don't know. So, it was interesting to see that the speed limits other jurisdictions have is kind of similar. And I agree that if we're not having bicycle police officers out there, it doesn't make sense to have a speed limit sign. But trying the gentle approach first, I think, makes sense.
And Chair, if I can add some comments.
Sure.
So we can also, what I'm hearing is more education around being courteous to trail users. And we absolutely can do videos and share that information on our social media pages, and we can do a full-blown campaign, because part of the job of us as leaders is educating the community on the expectation of how we want them to conduct themselves, right? And be kind and courteous to others. And we absolutely can do that. We can do a large campaign around education. I don't know if you saw my trail etiquette video, but it went viral, just saying. We can dust that off a little bit and maybe roll that out and do a little bit more, because I do go out into the trails and I do see, Wetlands Edge is a perfect example. Over 80 people use that trail on a daily basis. And so that just tells you how much activity we're getting out there. And that includes bicyclists, equestrians, walkers, joggers, you name it. They're out there. And there has been times where I've had to say on your left, right? And they still don't hear you. And it's for any reason. You don't know what the reason is. But I don't think it's an out of spite situation. I think it's just an out of awareness. They're engaging in conversation, or they may not realize, and they've never been on a trail before, and this is their first time. And so we can absolutely do some education. And I love the idea around positive reinforcement. For somebody who, surprisingly, I don't want to litter our trails with a bunch of signs. I think it takes away from the beauty. And quite frankly, if you're riding your bike, you're not going to stop and read a sign. And so even I don't know if you've noticed, but throughout the city, we started to do banners, and we've been very strategic about what's on those banners, because people are moving when they're reading. So it's just, we're going to want to consider that too. But education, I think, is a great start. I love the idea of just having things in our kiosks at our parks. I love the idea of paved transportation trails, treating those differently. So I think we're on a good start here.
Very good. So I have a related question, and I'll get to you. Back to speed limits at Newell. Has the Land Trust gotten back to you on dropping the 5 mile per hour?
So that is currently still under review. I don't foresee it being an issue. After speaking with Lena, the Land Trust, and clarifying a few things, she's currently reviewing the whole thing altogether, and she's on vacation. That's why we haven't heard anything back from her. So I don't foresee it being an issue or a problem. And I think the language that was recommended can work.
Thank you. And Commissioner Berry.
Me again. While we're talking about people that, you may say, hey, on your left and move over. One of the thing about old people is some of them don't hear very well. And then some of them may not walk very well. So they may be trying to get out of your way, but they can't. So in terms of education, I don't know anything you can do for them to make them more educated. Maybe just make them aware that the bikes, but for the bicyclists, to let them know that some people don't hear, some people can't get out of your way, a number of different things like that. And I think that as a society, we have to make sure that we at least take care of the most vulnerable people. If I'm on a bike, it's kind of a luxury. T.C. Halsey says he had polio when he was a kid, so he doesn't walk, but he rides and he feels normal, and he's a great ambassador for the Vine Trail. But I want to make sure that we take care of them, because I can go on the street, I can go around people, I don't have a problem. But somebody who's old, disabled, and is just trying to get outside and get a walk, I think as a basic level, we have to take care of those. And the bicyclists, they're, you know, they can fend for themselves. I don't want to put them out in the traffic, but they can go a lot faster. And also, you don't have to be going fast to hurt somebody. An older person, my bike probably weighs 30, 40 pounds. I'm under 200 with the bike and me, but at 200 pounds, even at 5 miles an hour, if I smack into a older person, just the fall could hurt them, maybe kill them. So I want to make sure we take care of the most vulnerable and put the onus a little bit more on the bikes, just like we put the onus on pedestrians and bikes in deference to horses, so that you know, the people who are able, let them fend for themselves a little, but let's make sure we take care of the most vulnerable.
Yeah, Commissioner Shamoria?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I second that, Commissioner Berry. And from my experience as someone who likes to walk and hike, I definitely am very much aware of who is around me, and I do move to the right. But I agree that we should definitely look at protecting the most vulnerable, because as someone who has an elderly mother, I know she would not hear. And so I appreciate your comment. Thank you.
Great. Thanks. Any other comments? Cara?
I wanted to also be sure that the conversation considers that there's a decent number of devices out there that people are calling e-bikes that are not e-bikes. And if there's any sort of, you know, no enforcement or whatnot, that seems to be the consensus among bike coalitions as to where to put that energy, to keep the bikes that are truly not e-bikes off the trails. And we know that there are bike shops who don't even know that they're selling bikes that aren't street legal, and that they're essentially illegal electric motorcycles, illegal unless you ride them on private property only. I mean, you can't license them, and the regulations are a lot to keep track of, but they're, you know, if there were any enforcement time, money, resources available, I think that would be the way to crack down, because our sense, and we talk about this statewide with other bike coalitions, is that those types of bikes, those types of illegal electric motorcycles are causing the lion's share of the complaints about e-bikes.
Thank you. So what are our next steps?
So maybe what we can do is the staff can go back and we can draw together some positive courtesy signage, working with the Bicycle Coalition, and potentially bringing also back maybe an education communication plan on what we would like to do on how to educate the community and their behavior.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you all.
And then also for Commissioner Christian, I will also speak with our Public Works Director about your two concerns.
Great, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
What about my bells?
I realize I didn't ask for any public
I will also
comment.
look into your bells.
Is there
I
any?
was just going to remind you, we had Tammy raising her hand during the presentation. Tammy, if you would like to speak now, okay. Just one moment.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Hold on. Just bear with me one moment, Tammy. My mouse is not cooperating with me. Come on.
Is there a mouse pad in there? Maybe that would do it? Nope.
Hold on. I'm sorry, Tammy, just bear with me. I'm genuinely trying here. Here we go. There you go. Tammy, please unmute yourself and begin speaking.
Good evening, Commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
If you could speak up just a little bit, you're a little faint.
Good evening, Commissioners. Is this better?
That is better,
Hello?
thank you.
Thank you for letting me comment. I want to thank you all for the great input. I just wanted to share, as most of my biking is here on the linear path and at Wetlands Edge Park. And I've had some really wonderful experiences bicycling on the linear path, especially now with those share the path decals. The pedestrians definitely are aware to move over. They respond positively, especially when I'm coming up behind and I say on your right or on your left, you know, they always move over. I haven't had any problems at all. The one thing that I wanted to mention though is when I'm running or walking on the path, I've had the experience where bicycles come up behind and they do not bell and they do not announce. And the response I get when I announce to people who are walking, when I'm on my bike, they're always so thankful. So I think back to the trail etiquette and making Director Akita's etiquette video viral. I think that would be great, and having more education. And I also, my primary reason for commenting was I wanted to share about an issue that one of my neighbors told me about on the linear path. The linear path is really very popular. There's a lot of people walking on it, some people with dogs, and some people are elderly people who may be hard of hearing, but it's very popular. And I guess at one point in time, there were some people walking with their dogs and they were taking up a lot of trail space, and a bicyclist tried to overtake them, and they veered onto the grassy area to overtake. And then when they were trying to come back onto the cement, somehow their tire caught the edge of the curb and they had an accident. And it was serious enough that they called 911, an ambulance, and my neighbor was telling me how he had to use Coke to get the blood off the sidewalk. So my concern is just what Barry said about, you know, we have some vulnerable users out there, and people who ride their bikes in an unsafe manner, you know, they're at jeopardy. I mean, I worry about someone coming up behind me. I mean, sometimes even when people announce, I don't always hear them. And it's not because I don't have, you know, I don't cover my ears with a headset or something. I just don't hear them. And so anything we can do to educate people, raise more awareness, and get people to travel in a safe manner, I would support that. And I'm glad that this commission is discussing this topic, and Cara was there to give some wonderful advice. I agree with her about the positive signage, and really, I just look forward to your continued discussion. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Is there anyone else on Zoom that would like to speak? Please raise your hand now. No additional public comment.
Thank you. And our last item in management and staff reports.
Thank you, Chair. I have a few updates that I think this commission would like to know. This Saturday, we have our S'mores and Meteors event down at the Wetlands. That's going to be from 8:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. If you want to come out, take a look at some meteors, eat some s'mores, and do some silent disco. We're encouraging you to sign up and register to get your tickets. As a reminder, we are doing our Parks and Community Services Master Plan update, and the survey is out. If you have not done so already, please take the opportunity to take that survey. It's very important that we get our community's feedback on what they want to see the future for our parks and community services. If you have not heard the greatest news of all, we are the host for the Wall That Heals coming this October from the 16th through the 19th. The Wall That Heals is a replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C., and we are currently actively looking for volunteers. Believe it or not, this event does require a huge lift of volunteers. We need about 180 volunteers over 4 days because it's open for 4 days for 24 hours. It's a pretty spectacular opportunity. It's going to be a regional draw for American Canyon because we are the only Northern California location that's hosting this year. Additionally, we are actively seeking youth commissioners. They do need to be American Canyon. They do need to be an American Canyon High School senior. I think we might have a potential candidate who came earlier today. I will try to get her name and reach out to her, see if she would like to apply. But we are looking for our next youth commissioner to serve on this commission, as well as the Planning Commission and our Parks and Community Services Commission. Citizens Academy is back. We are currently taking registration for that program. It's going to be from September 24th through November 15th, meeting on Wednesdays on a weekly basis from 7 to 9 p.m. It's a great way to learn about municipal government and all the wonderful things that American Canyon does to serve its community. And then lastly, I would be amiss not to mention this formally, but please sign, if you have not done so already, please complete the bicycle-friendly community survey. It's extremely important that we hear from the community. It's a great way to apply, and hopefully we get the designation, because it would be a great accomplishment for us. And the deadline is October 4th. Thank you.
Great, thank you. It looks like there's some commissioners that have questions. So Commissioner Hughes?
Thank you. Actually, regarding the Citizens Academy, I actually really enjoyed it. And I was curious if, and I think it would be beneficial if high school students became part of their curriculum. Is there any, what do you call those? The kids get hours for community service. Would they get community service hours for doing Citizens Academy?
So we actually have a high school Citizens Academy that we do every single year. We partner with our senior class.
Okay.
And this year in particular, I believe even last year, the chamber participated. So the first portion of the year, the chamber comes in and teaches the seniors all about the business community, how to start a business, what it takes to have a business. And then in the spring, the city will come in and teach them about city government. This year in particular, we're focusing on a specialized project around budgeting and how to create a budget and how a city creates a budget. And so it's going to be a 5-session program that we're going to do, and then they'll present, and then the winner of the presentations will actually present at City Council on May 19th. They do not get volunteer credit for that because it's part of their curriculum. However, if they need volunteer hours, we have volunteer opportunities. We have Coastal Cleanup Day coming up. Like I said, the Wall That Heals. We're always looking for volunteers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. That's good to hear. I think that's great. Thank you.
Great. Well, I believe we've reached the end of the meeting, so I'd like to adjourn the meeting at 7:54. Thank you.